So, we have some rules for this list. We are talking about the next big thing as dubbed by management. So if your favorite wrestler doesn't pop up, this isn't an insult at you. I mean, how would I know? We've never had a conversation, even if you're my mother. Over the years, though, many individuals were given such a push, so let's all sit down and get our tuchuses comfortable and see where the hell they are now. Number 20, Tom Magee. This story has become mega famous and mega infamous over the years, because at one point, Vince McMahon looked at Tom Magee and he was like, oh my gosh, it's my brand new Hulk Hogan. I am not kidding. Management was so sure about this as well, they called up Bret Hart and said, Hitman, you've got to have a match with this guy, because even back in the late 80s, everybody knew if you wanted to give somebody the best chance of getting over, you went to Bret. All of it got so out of control that the WWE actually uploaded this match to the WWE Network a few years ago. But here's the thing, if you do go put your eyes on that, you'll be like, wow, this tomboy is really good. And then you go and watch his next match, and you're like, wait a minute. It was just because Bret Hart was a super duper worker. And I want to point out that none of this was Magee's fault, because as would happen to a lot of people we're going to talk about, he was just pushed way too soon. If we'd actually allowed him to train and get a bit of experience, there's every chance he could have become a top guy. He was soon out of the company though, and even though he had a few more fights in Japan, eventually he came back home. There were some rumors in 2019 he may come back to wrestling. He did not. Seems like he is a personal trainer these days, which makes all the sense in the world. Because one thing you can't argue is that boy was jacked. Number 19, Drew McIntyre. So in terms of being dubbed the next big thing, he totally did it. And it was June 2014 when I can only presume somebody rang him up and said, sorry Drew, it's not working out, and he got released. Now let's not forget that a few years before that, when he did first arrive in World Wrestling Entertainment, Vince McMahon walked out onto SmackDown and essentially said, do you know who the future of this company is? It is Drew McIntyre. This all ties in once more. There is understandably proof that Drew McIntyre could have done this, but not at that stage. He needed more experience. You can see where we're going with this, but no, he didn't get mega cheers on week one, so everybody turned on him. Well, not everyone, just management. None of this matters now, though, because of course he did return to WWE, and ever since then he has totally smashed it. And I will tell you this straight up, the Wim Man, he is a total inspiration. Number 18, Sid. And I just love Sid, or Sid Justice, or Psycho Sid, whatever you want to call him. I mean, the man was crazy. Vince McMahon also felt this way, because look at it like this. Sid was only involved in 2 WrestleManias, he headlined them both. One of these as well was instead of doing Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair, because Vince McMahon wanted to do Hulk versus Sid, although things kind of went bad after this when everybody fell out. This is because right before the big main event, Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer did tell us that Sid had failed a drug test, and because they didn't want to screw up the show of shows, he was told, listen, my man, my 6'8" man, you are gonna have to take some time off afterwards, you are suspended. Now I guess Sid didn't really like that, because he was like, no, I'm going to play softball instead. And after that, well, he never really got back to this level. Even then though, if you do watch him in the WWF or WCW, Sid was always going towards the main event scene, and it was because he was just totally unhinged. Like he wasn't the best wrestler in the world, but look, I watch this man a lot, I don't care, he was just fun. He also knew how to get over. I mean, just go watch him in 1996. People loved this guy. So all in all, I would say he did a pretty good job. Number 17, Brock Lesnar. I mean, his nickname was literally the next big thing. WWE went all in with this as well, because if you go back to 2002, he arrives on the scene and he decimates everyone, and then within like, I don't know, 9 months, whatever it is, he is beating The Rock at SummerSlam to become the world champion. And then he even made Hulk Hogan submit. Now listen, Brock Lesnar is a one-of-a-kind athlete, but you give anybody that kind of push, yeah, they're gonna do all right. By WrestleMania 19, he was also main eventing WrestleMania and winning the World Championship. And then, even though he did leave to become a UFC fighter, where he also won the world title, when he returned in 2012, it was back to the pushing. These days, he is still under WWE contract, but as we know, it is under very controversial circumstances. But either way, if we do just focus on the wrestling and the title of this video, yeah, he made it to the top and pretty much stayed there forever. Number 16, Roman Reigns. I mean, we all know the story behind this one, the curious case of Roman Reigns. I mean, Roman himself knew exactly how he should be portrayed, but the office felt differently because they wanted him to be the next John Cena. As we always know, that's never going to work. We have John Cena. I don't need John Cena at home. So we had to go through all this madness from 2014 until we did that awful dog food angle. And then the pandemic hit, which meant Reigns was like, you know what? I'm just going to go chill at home in a while. I'll be back. The Terminator was right as well, because he then said, listen, just make me the tribal chief, which we did do which was also the catalyst for him to go on his 1,316-day world title reign. I don't care, man. It's absolutely brilliant. He absolutely became the next big thing, and it'll probably be the big thing for quite some time. That sounded a little bit kinky. Number 15, Austin Theory. So as we do know, this is a work in progress, but again, go and listen to what the peers say about Austin Theory, including Randy Orton. They all think he has the chops to become a future world champion. In 2021, Vince McMahon absolutely agreed with this, because of course these two started to appear on camera together, but the storyline was about somebody stealing Vince McMahon's giant golden egg. And no, that's not a euphemism, it was literally what was happening. The real mad part is that we quite clearly had another Roman Reigns situation here, but everybody ignored it. Like, Theory had something, but we just kept his character in the lane it was in, as opposed to listen to the audience and going, well, maybe we should try something different. His recent partnership with Grayson Waller has absolutely been the highlight of his main roster run. Given we are currently teasing a breakup with Waller, I think we should turn Austin babyface and tie into some of the personality traits we saw down on NXT. I actually think the real life Austin Theory is a bit of a lovable goof. Try that one, and you never know, it may just work as he becomes a big thing. Number 14, Kazuchika Okada. So when Okada did indeed win his first IWGP Championship at New Beginning in 2012, nobody could believe this, because one, he beat flipping Tanahashi, but also two, he had recently come back from an excursion, which, let's face it, hadn't gone very well. I mean, you saw him in TNA, and I think they knew what they had. I suppose this affected Okada's confidence a little bit, because when he did come back at Wrestle Kingdom 12, it was a bit of nothing, but Gedo believed in this man. Fair play to that guy, he was totally right. Because even after that victory, most people were like, well, it's clearly down to the ace, and it's nothing to do with the Rainmaker, when he just turned it on, basically reinvented the New Japan main event scene, and went on to become one of the greatest wrestlers ever. It's pretty good. It's why today he is in AEW making all of the cash, and before this, every single promotion wanted him too. You can pretend that WWE wasn't interested, but of course they were. Have you seen Okada? He is absolutely brilliant. And let's just say it, even though it's getting boring now, a proper big thing. Number 13, Diesel. So all of this will sound very familiar to you. It's almost like WWE doesn't learn. Because at the 1994 Royal Rumble, it was quite clear that Kevin Nash/Diesel was our guy, because we had allowed him to throw out a then record 7 people in that damn thing. The fans are like, wow, this guy is really cool. And then he was fast-tracked to the main event because Vince McMahon was like, well, a big dude like this can't miss. And amazingly, he was right, when because he became a good guy, we did everything to take away his bigness. Once again, that sounds weird, but bear with me. Because rather than allow Diesel to continue to whip people's asses, he had to sell as if he was Hulk Hogan. And every time he came out there, he had to smile. It was like, I don't want to see Kevin Nash smile and sell. I want to see Kevin Nash destroy people. It just meant we took away the effortlessness of Kevin Nash, and we ripped away that hit factor. And then he was just another bland babyface, and it wasn't even his fault. Today, Nash is considered a legend, and rightfully so, because just go back in time, and there are so many historical landmarks in wrestling that he was a part of. Don't talk to him about the Finger of Doom, though. Probably won't agree. Number 12, Lex Luger. We don't even need to go in deep with this one, because it's basically a retread of everything else. Because Hulk Hogan was gone, McMahon needed a new American hero. When he looked at Lex Luger and went, oh my gosh, he's so damn jacked, he can do it. So he did. Now, I think it would have worked with a bit of time, but as ever, there was no time for that, ironically. So Lex went from being the narcissist to this guy, and everyone was like, well, that's 2 + 2 = potato. It doesn't make any sense. Unfairly, a lot of people these days act like Lex Luger didn't have an amazing career, but he did do. Just go back to when he won the World Championship in WCW. This man was over like Rover. So as far as I'm concerned, he is a Hall of Famer, although very sadly these days, he is suffering from injuries and who else knows what. Sometimes, or mostly, he is confined to a wheelchair. So today, take some positive energy and send it Lex Luger's way. I bet he would appreciate it. Number 11, Bobby Lashley. I mean, you've already heard this story. Because as soon as Vince McMahon did indeed lay eyes on Bobby Lashley, he demanded he got called up to the main roster right away. And if we had just treated him like a killer, this probably would have all been fine. But we didn't. Instead, the big plan was to copy Austin versus McMahon, which seems totally crazy, and the reason why we got to that WrestleMania, and it was Lashley versus Umaga, with Vince in one corner and Donald Trump in the other. So of course Bobby Lashley felt like he was in the background here. Anybody would. He would soon leave the company after this under very controversial circumstances, which were nothing to do with him. Although thankfully, a decade or so later, he did return. And ever since then, I think we have been treating Bobby Lashley the right way. And I would call him a Hall of Famer. I really enjoy Lashley's work, so this one, I'm gonna say we got there eventually. That's pretty good. Number 10, the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, this guy beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6 to become the WWF champion, while he was also the Intercontinental Champion. I'm pretty sure we earmarked him as the dude. Now, it's fair to say that the Warrior didn't click as intended, something I'm very sure Hulk Hogan jumped on straight away, but at the same time, well, the Ultimate One didn't do himself any favors. Because constant fallouts with Vince McMahon when he left the company, then he came back to the company, and even right up to 1996 they were in negotiations. Think of that. If they had have found a way, it would have meant the real-life Jim Hellwig was involved in the Attitude Era, on the WWF side. I mean, eventually he went to WCW. That was not good. Tragically, the Ultimate Warrior did pass away in 2014, just after he'd made amends with the WWE. But given that his memory is so strong, I do think we have to agree he made it to the big time. It's just a shame there is so much controversy around the man, because no, he did not say good things. Number 9, Randy Orton. From day one, Randy Orton was the guy. This made sense. Not only was he a second-generation athlete, but once again, go and listen to all his wrestler friends. They've always been like, how does that guy move so well? He is so damn good at the basics. As admitted by the man himself, though, when all this glory was put on his head, he was just too young to appreciate it, and actually went out there and behaved very immaturely. Because there are countless stories of Randy almost getting fired, and the only reason he didn't leave the company is because management believed in him so much, and because they saw him as a top guy, well, they basically made excuses for him. The real irony is at the time, Dave Bautista had also entered the company, and I don't think they ever had him earmarked as a main event guy, but because Randy Orton was doing all of his stuff, all of a sudden Batista stepped into that, and I tell you, he's way underrated. And if you need some evidence for this, I don't think you debut Big Dave as a deacon if you think he's going to be a future world champ. There was also other issues here in the sense that we pulled the trigger way too soon on Orton when we kicked him out of Evolution, and all of a sudden he was winning the world title at SummerSlam, and everyone was like, I don't want to cheer you. I still think you're a heel. There is no debate these days, however, though, because Randy Orton overcame all of this to become an absolute Hall of Famer and a proper legend. He's also so damn good in the ring. Sometimes it makes me mad. I'm never going to be at that level. Number 8, Alberto Del Rio. So as the story goes, WWE decided they needed a brand new star for their Mexican demographic because Rey Mysterio was on his last legs. I mean, they got that one completely wrong. Alberto Del Rio was the chosen one, though, because, man, he won championships, he won WWE titles, and he was even a Royal Rumble victor, so we put a lot on his head. As has been the way constantly throughout this list, though, we turned him good guy way too early, nobody wanted to boo him, and we also separated him from his personal ring announcer, Ricardo Rodriguez, and they were just so good together. Why the hell did we do it? It all went bad for Del Rio when he was fired from the company after he did smack an employee backstage. But actually, after the fact, it came out that this person had been racist towards him, and no, you can't do that, so he got rehired. The issue is that the same problems then reared their head again, mostly that he wasn't able to connect with the audience in the way that WWE'd hoped. And soon he was out the door again. Today, well, it's probably best you just Google him, because a lot of the stories about Alberto do not make for pleasant reading. And I think we do have to say, when it comes to being the next big thing, he never really got there. Number 7, Paul White. So Vince McMahon one day rang up Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and he said, I tell you what WCW is doing wrong with that giant. They are not treating him like an attraction. That's what I would do. Now, this was true in the sense that over on WCW Nitro, you could see Paul White absolutely everywhere, mostly because he was massive and he was becoming a star. I mean, World Championship Wrestling got so behind this guy, he beat Hulk Hogan at Halloween Havoc for the world title in around about 8 minutes. I mean, this was super quick. Paul was also one of a kind because despite his gargantuan size, he could just flip around all over the place. So anybody in that position would have been like, well, we've got to do something with him. He's amazing. The WWF did nab him in 1999, which is when we did learn about a whole lot of issues, or at least from their management point of view. They felt like the real life Paul White wasn't very motivated. But once again, he was in the company, then he was out of the company. I mean, that happened more than he turned face and heel. That didn't help either because it just muddied the waters, and before long, he too was just back on all of the shows. And even though he was quite clearly still a star, well, we never went with the original plan at all. I would still always say, though, when you do look back over his entire career, he absolutely had an all-time run. I mean, ask yourself this. What didn't the Big Show do? He has literally done everything. That is pretty damn good. These days, he is making his money in AEW, although I don't really know what he does do, but that's fine. That's none of my business anyway. But he is both the Big Show in name and the Big Show in actions, that didn't work. I just meant, yeah, I do think he came on to be a big thing. I got that wrong too. I'm done. Number 6, Sting. Don't you come into my house and tell me Sting isn't all time. You will politely be asked to leave. WCW saw that in 1987 and 88 as he just ran through everybody, and man, his wars with Ric Flair and Vader, they rocked my world. He would soon become the world champion, which was totally justified, although actually when it came to WCW, they never really treated him like the guy. It was always a Hulk Hogan or a Ric Flair, like Sting was always just below them, but you think at least on one occasion he would have been whooped up to the top. Never really happened. I'm not sure the Icon cared because he was all about business when we finally get to what he did in AEW. And once again, this was a legendary last run in terms of building up to your retirement. I still feel water in my seeing devices. His last match at AEW Revolution is also a template about how you should say goodbye to somebody. So yeah, he should go in every single Hall of Fame that does exist. And on my watch, he is absolutely a big thing. In fact, let's go one step further. He's the best thing. Number 5, Sheamus. Do you want to know why there was some serious backlash to Sheamus when he debuted in WWE? Because he took on John Cena at the TLC pay-per-view, and he became the champion. Just like that. And this was in 2009, which is why I think it's totally justified, because WWE was desperate for new stars then. So yeah, go do this. I think the main problem is how this victory did go down, because the Irishman didn't really beat John Cena, and instead Cena just sort of fell through a table. I mean, a win is a win and a win is a win, and Sheamus was the champion. Well, we never really made it clear that he was going to whoop John's ass. Sheamus is still at the top of his game, and I've said this time and time again, he's going to be one of these dudes that leaves the business and we'll be like, man, I really miss Sheamus now, because as he would say, it's banger after banger after banger. He would also go into the Hall of Fame at some point, so I'll just sum it up this way. I am such a fan of Sheamus. I think he's great. Number 4, Karrion Kross. Well, we know one thing, Triple H loves him some Karrion Kross. I mean, in NXT, he was treated like an absolute tank, and I thought his presentation was brilliant. When he called up to the main roster, well, I don't think Vince McMahon got it. I mean, everybody lost their mind when he did appear and lost to Jeff Hardy, and I do understand this. You're just telling your wider audience, you don't have to worry about this guy. And then we gave him that stupid helmet. What are we doing? Since he has returned under Triple H's leadership, it's still been a little bit wishy-washy, because look, Karrion clearly knows what he is doing. It just kind of feels like all of this is missing the magic sauce. But yeah, in terms of hitting this upper echelon, well, he hasn't got there just yet. But hey, the man's still active. Fingers crossed. Number 3, Mr. Kennedy. This is just the maddest story though, because Kennedy was not only earmarked to become the WWE champion, but he was also going to be Vince McMahon's storyline son. Now listen, I know that sounds absolutely absurd, but if you were on that roster, well, that's a pretty good position to be in. Ken also won the Money in the Bank when all the wheels fell off because he got injured. Everyone decided, well, we'll have to take the briefcase off you before we realized, oh, he can be back in a few weeks. It was too late by then. Edge had it. He then hurt Randy Orton on a suplex and ran foul of John Cena when he also got caught up in a steroid scandal. So even though he was on the cusp of the main event, he got fired. This was totally nuts. So the turnaround was totally shocking, although look, today, Kennedy not only runs his own successful wrestling training school, but he still does indies here and there. And if you do hear him in interviews, it sounds like he's doing very well in his life, and that is all that matters. But once more, if we are going to tie into this list, he should have got there, but somehow he just didn't. Wrestling will never make any sense. Number 2, Bron Breakker. So let's talk about a guy who is the talk of the town right now. This is Bron Breakker. Now, according to the Voices of Wrestling account, something different was planned for Bron on Raw when all of a sudden, smarter heads prevailed. They're like, what are we doing? Let's just push this guy. He's clearly the future. And let's just look at everything he did do in NXT. You could just smell it in the air. This is a future main eventer. As bizarre as it sounds too, even that NXT episode when The Undertaker came up and totally destroyed him was good news for Breakker. Because WWE doesn't just do that with everyone. It's basically a rite of passage. So right now he is making his way up the card on Monday night, and if I was going to put my Simon Miller prediction behind it, he is absolutely going to be the next big thing. He's just too good. And don't forget, down in NXT, he was even doing comedy with Baron Corbin in the Wolf Dogs. I actually think this man can do everything. That is flubbing scary. Number 1, Vladimir Kozlov. So at the time of Vladimir Kozlov, he was meant to be the ultimate heel if we were in 1984. And I suppose the comparison today would be Gunther, but look at the differences. The Ring General comes from Austria, but that makes absolutely no difference. Whereas Vladimir had to walk out there and be like, oh man, I'm from different lands, boo me. And I was like, we don't care where you're from, bro. Just wrestle. Now look, it was sort of dumb in the 80s, but in 2006, this was never gonna click. You had to have something extra. But I can only imagine Kozlov was being told by Vince McMahon, this is what you do, and you wrestle a basic style, so he had no choice. It's why old Vlad got a clean win over The Undertaker, which never happened in the mid-2000s, although by the time we got to that Triple H feud, well, I think he'd run out of supporters, and Hunter basically squished him up. And then Vladimir Kozlov became a comedy character. And while it feels like he did have a decent career, no, whatever plans WWE did have for him, well, they never really played out. Now look, I'm sure I've missed one next big thing, so you can let me know in the comments below and tell me, did they rise to power or did they absolutely suck? It's a bit much. Before you like the video, share the video and subscribe when you click this video here. And it's me again, basically yelling at you. But thank you very much for your time, my friends. I appreciate it as always. And always remember this too, if somebody does make it to WWE, they're pretty damn successful. Too many times I see silly thoughts about this. I mean, that's some people's dreams. Good for them. Goodbye.